I'm Asoa, Michael's history teacher. Thank you so much for coming to his transition IEP meeting. Um, as we all know that Michael does have attention deficit hyperactive disorder, ADHD, and anxiety. So hopefully this meeting we can go over a little bit about this class and how he's doing in it and what else we can do to help him achieve his goal of becoming a mechanical engineer and working for NASA. Um, as we all know that Michael does well in math and science, but does struggle in history and English. So today we'll talk about history with me. A little bit about my class is that obviously it's the United States government, and we're going to learn how it's formed, how we use it, and how to be an active citizen in it. And the changes I've made throughout the years. We'll compare it to other forms of government in other countries, and we can just see, how it's progressed over time, what other possible changes can be made, how can we as citizens make changes such as voting, and things like that to work. A lot of the way I kind of my class is a little bit of flip mode, whereas all the reading takes place outside of class, so for homework, and then in class we do activities to kind of reinforce the reading. And then this kind of ensures that when they're participating in activities, I can see whether the students are, reading what they're supposed to be reading, if they're understanding it or not, if I need to clarify, reteach anything, just any other necessary steps to help my students. I always do my best to do that. A lot of the activities are vary depending on what our unit is and what the lesson may be. I do small group, large group, and whole group projects and discussions so we can get the ideas flowing and create understanding between everybody, and you can express your emotions and learn how to communicate and work with others that way. But I also do parts of independent research, which allows for creativity, and which I think is great. Everybody has their own form of creativity, so you can kind of decide how you want to go about the project and everything. Also, you learn what a credible site is, so which is important because you can't read everything you see online. It's just great. You can understand people's opinions and all that jazz. So now Michael and the U.S. government class, we had made class goals and some future goals. So his overall goal for his class is to obtain an A in class, which is absolutely doable. He is already on a good start to doing it and has made great improvements. He wants to be doing the daily reading, which is important because the daily reading leads to him participating in class, which is one of his other goals. So he needs those two goals go together, and that's one thing that we definitely need to be working on with him. And then, of course, to do better on quizzes and tests, which we do have some ideas to help him there. Future goals, as I had mentioned before, he has recently decided he wants to be a mechanical engineer, which is awesome. And that by doing that, by getting to that point, he's got to be able to do my class. So that means, making sure he's keeping the daily readings. So that's going to make sure that he's going to be staying on task with his job, making sure he makes all of his deadlines and all of that. And then participating. So making sure that he's communicating with his group and his team and everything, and that, they're building, the rocket the right way and the payload. And then his quizzes and tests, kind of proving to everybody, hey, I know this, and I can do it, let me show you. Then he can even become, the teacher that way, which is great. It just creates responsibility, which is which is what we're teaching all of our students now. I want to go over a little bit of the classwork and some of the assignments. So I have 4 assignments to show you, which is the Chapter 11-12 reading quiz, which you got a 70 on, which is not horrible, it's not bad or anything, but there definitely is room for improvement, and we'll be working on those, getting his grade up and what he can do to get better on them. The Chapter 11 and 12 in-class activity, He has an 85 on, which is great, but again, there is definitely room for improvement for him. On the chapter 11 and 12 graphic organizer, unfortunately, he has a 55 because he did turn in the assignment late and it was incomplete. So I did have to take points off for it being late. For the chapter 13 14 reading quiz, he did again get a 70, which there is room for improvement. It's not a horrible grade. So to increase those grades, I've come up with extended time, especially like things like the graphic organizer. If he needs more time, then we can do that and get him more help so he can understand how to do it exactly. An alternative testing location for the quizzes, so he just doesn't get distracted. He can focus, take the quiz, and do well on them, because I do know that he's brilliant and he can absolutely do this. Sitting closer to me in class when we're doing maybe large group discussions or whole group discussions, just so I can kind of keep him on task if he is getting off task. Provide foot resistant bands, which is they go at the underneath the desk right on the front, and he can bounce his feet on there and it can keep him moving but not distract everybody else. Another thing is increasing desk space, which is kind of like giving him a little more room but without secluding him from the rest of the class, so he can again focus on what he needs to get done, and then giving him an outline of the lesson so ahead of time he kind of knows what's going to happen, and if we deviate from it, he can also be the one to pull us back in and have him include us and have him include into the classroom, or he can also just kind of work ahead so he can keep going with everything. A little bit of this progress monitoring, as you can see in the graph, his participation has done very well. It's progressing great. It's increasing. His tests are slowly increasing, but I think with his accommodations that we've come up with, he's going to improve on them for sure. And then the assignment, he has taken a little bit of, he goes on, ups and downs. But again, with the accommodations, I think we can definitely improve them. For his revision plan for the classroom participation, he's not participating, unfortunately, as much as he needs to be in order to get a better grade. Partly is he's not doing the reading or he's not fully understanding it. So I would like for him to keep a detailed planner on the readings, what the readings are, where they are, with the pages, the chapters, anything like that. And also a graphic organizer is something I would like for him to start doing. We can work on and find a one that works best for him, but just to write down the information to keep a clear, concise, form of understanding for him, so he can obtain the knowledge and know what's important and that he needs to know, and so that he can take that and participate in the group discussions. In the group activities, I've noticed that he tends to get a bit anxious or stressed out a little bit when his group gets sidetracked or the plan isn't going as they originally thought it was going to happen. So I would like for Michael and I to come up with a signal or a system kind of saying that, hey, I need to go outside and take a moment to myself and gather myself before I join the class, whether it's counting to 10, taking a deep breath, doing some sort of aromatherapy, anything like that. And then during that time, we'll check on him to make sure he's okay, or if he needs further help with the counselor or the nurse or calling you, anything just to help him or have him join the classroom again, and we can reevaluate the situation. Universal design learning is another thing that we can also consider to help him, which I think actually will be super beneficial for him, as it is a type of how that we create for the learning around his needs and what we can do. So it's kind of like the what, how, and why of learning, which is kind of gathering the facts and organizing everything, and then planning how are we going to do this, how are we going to do that, and then keeping him engaged. So especially with history, having him, talk about the Model T4, like that would be something great for him. Or if when we do a lesson on like making laws for the different forms of government, like the Navy and how it in the Air Force and how that came into NASA and everything, something like that. We just have to figure out, how can we accommodate him with those type of things and create a learning environment that works best for him. So again, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming. It's so important for us to work together, and communication is the key between, us as teachers and Michael, but as between you as the parent and us, and then all three of us together. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns you have, suggestions, anything like that, and I will always respond to you as fast as I can. You have my email, my phone number, and if you want to set up a meeting again, it's by appointment only, but I always do my best to make accommodations. Thank you again so much.